another episode of the Everyday Joy podcast. I'm your host, Ash Couchman, and I cannot wait to find moments of joy with you today. If you haven't given us a review, would you head over to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and give us a review? Help more people to find out about this podcast and let everyone know what you are loving. I'm having the literal best week with Jacquie, and I'm so excited to jump even deeper into the Word of God. Let's hear today's words to live by.
Hebrews 13:16. Do not neglect to do good and to share what you have, for such sacrifices are pleasing to God.
Jacquie,
Ash,
just love having you here.
I just love being here.
And I will say, we are both quite tired this week.
Quite tired.
I will admit that it's not my brightest of weeks, I would say. Not that anything traumatically bad has happened, but you know when you have those weeks and you're just tired.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how early you go to sleep, doesn't matter what you do, you're tired.
Yeah. And we were just talking about this, and
Yes.
I'm so unsurprised that you're tired because you've been picking up the load because Tobes has been.
Yes, Tobes had a
been on the
surgery.
couch. Yeah.
Tobes had a surgery. I think I maybe mentioned it in an episode a week or so ago. But yeah, it's been a lot. It's funny how quickly one extra thing, so like in the sense of people in the lead up were being like, can I help with anything? Can I do anything? Can I make you meals? And at the start I was like, nah, I'm
got
good.
this. It's fine.
Because I was like, it's Tobes. He's the one that's dealing with it. I don't need to, worry about it. And
no, there you are.
and I'm so grateful. We had so many lovely people from church and family and friends drop us over meals and all those little things, because you don't realise how much you need the help until you're in it.
Yeah.
And
until you're
grateful.
the one and only person that's doing all the things all the time.
It also,
and balancing work and caring for someone.
It also gave me I feel like, an insight into how grateful I'm going to be when we have kids one day. I literally spent the whole time being like, how's he going to do it? Like, how's he going to be able to do all of this? But that's a down the line problem, so I don't have to think about it just yet. But I think it gave me a slight peek into empathy, a little peek into the empathy. But
yeah, upped your empathy game?
Yeah, I would say I upped my empathy game to the point that, and I don't think I shared it on the podcast, that when Toby went and got his surgery, so he's had his surgery, he's done all of his things, he ended up getting bumped back. So he was meant to have the surgery pretty early in the morning, and it ended up getting bumped back. And I don't think he went into the surgery till like 4 p.m.
Okay.
So I didn't get a call saying that he was out until like he was kind of, alive and well until like 7:30 at night. So I spent the whole day just being like, what is happening? I don't really know what's going on. It was a really great lesson in not letting your mind wander. Just like trusting God and being like, I guess if they haven't called me, and then every now and then, like 2 hours later, I get a text from Tobes being like, oh, I'm still not in. Okay, and then he'd be like, oh, and I'm going in. And then another hour later, oh, actually, I'm not. Anyway, that isn't to have a dig at anything, because the whole process was amazing. The doctors were amazing. The nurses were amazing. It was just a funny day. Yeah. Anyway, so that night I went, he was so out of it because, you're on so many medications. I went and sat with him for a few hours, and they ended up keeping him in overnight because the procedure was so late. Next day I go to pick him up. I'm not great with medical procedures. Not good at all. I cry every time I get my blood tested. I passed out the last time I got a travel vaccine. I just am not good at it. But I went into this scenario feeling quite confident. So I go pick Tobes up. I'd already spent the evening before at the hospital, and I was fine. Go to pick him up. Tobes is like, but at this point, he's been redressed into his normal clothes. He's not in like the hospital gown anymore. And he was in so much pain that he didn't want to get up and off the bed. So he sat on like this little chair, like taller chair thing that was in the corner, because it was easier for him to move around. The nurse comes in to discharge us, and she starts going through everything that we might need to do, how he can, what he can and can't do. She gets to the point, and all she says, I quote, so if he bleeds through the gauze or like the dressing, all you do is, we've got some extra dressing. She said, don't take them off, just push it back on, like as in put another bigger one over the top of it. By her simply saying that, I started to get real flustered, real warm. I felt my body just like start to get tingly. Start to feel very nauseous, very lightheaded. And I kind of like slowly move around to Toby's bed, his hospital bed that he's just had a full-blown surgery on. And I had to sit down and the lady keeps talking. The nurse keeps going on about it. And I just had to stop the conversation. I was like, I'm so sorry. I think I need to lie down. So this nurse moves off the bed, moves everything, allows me to lie down on the bed. And I am being like fanned and fed apple juice by the nurses while Toby is recovering from like legitimate surgery. And I like have the shakes and I'm about to pass out on this bed. So let's just say it didn't go great for me. Great for Tobes, but not so much for me. It was literally so embarrassing. I don't think I've ever been so embarrassed in my life, Jackie.
Oh, Ash.
So embarrassed.
Ash, I will take your preemptive sitting on the bed story and I will up you.
Stop. Stop.
Now, I'm really good. A, I've injured myself a lot. B, I've seen a lot of injuries, been around a lot of medical stuff. I'm normally okay.
Okay.
When I was I want to say it was year 11 or year 12, my dad broke his collarbone, had to have a steel plate put in.
That already makes me feel a bit dizzy.
He had it out when it was all healed. I went to visit him in hospital after school one day.
Yep.
My mum dropped me off, took my brother somewhere else. I visited. The nurse came in and I was like, okay, cool. I'll just stand in the corner over here. So I was in the corner against the wall, but where the door goes to when it closes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm standing in the V. The doors are open. I'm standing in the V of the door.
Yeah.
She goes to change it. She doesn't even get anything off. I faint, just go cold, faint, doof on the floor. My head reverberates between the door
No.
and the wall.
I feel like nurses must experience this far more than we realise.
Right?
If you're a nurse, please let us know.
Do.
Let us know. That is crazy.
Isn't it? And then so I faint, I give myself concussion, get
Jackie.
a migraine on top of it because my brain's just been shaken around. My mum, they take my dad out of the bed.
Oh, put you in it.
Put me in the bed.
Jackie.
To top it all off then, my mum comes in and she thinks I'm playing a joke. She goes off like a frog in a sock. What do you think you're doing? Your father's had a surgery.
You're like, I actually am in a lot of pain.
Can't even talk. Eyes are crossed. And the nurse is just like, oh, please calm down. Your daughter's actually had an incident.
I feel like we could just do a whole episode on just like traumatic passing out stories. I have a list of them.
Yeah, but nurses, definitely the living embodiment of do not neglect to do good.
They don't neglect doing good, that's for sure. I'm sorry for the long intro, everyone, but I just feel like we had to express.
And I'm so sorry, but as soon as you started talking, I was like, I've got to tell you this story.
Oh my goodness, that is wild. I just think I've realised medical things. I'm so grateful that the Lord has blessed people with giftings and an ability to withstand medical procedures. And if that's you, bless you.
Bless you.
Bless
abundantly.
you abundantly.
Yep.
Hebrews 13 verse 16. Do not neglect to do good and to share what you have, for it is these sacrifices that are pleasing to God.
Yep.
Hebrews 13 verse 16. It's so important that we realize, and I have been on a journey of this, that doing good isn't always easy.
Oh, heck no.
It is a sacrifice. Like, I love that it says, like, these sacrifices are pleasing to God.
Yep.
God doesn't say, you know what, help everyone out, do favors, love on people. It'll be easy. Add it to your list of things you're doing.
Yeah, you'll just fit it in. It'll be convenient. Yeah. It'll be no problem whatsoever. You know.
Unfortunately, not the case.
Not the case.
And you know what, Jack? I've been doing this big wrestle lately. I read this scripture in 1 Peter. I think it's 1 Peter 4. And it talks about how we're called to use our giftings to serve other people, how we're called to love on people, how we're meant to basically offer sacrifices to people. And it's been really challenging me to work out as a person, as someone walking with Christ, what that looks like and how I live that out in a healthy way.
Yep.
And something that really, really actually comforted me is there's kind of like 3 sections of that 1 Peter verse. It kind of goes, use your gifts to love on people. Then it says, don't be surprised. The wording is really interesting. It says, don't be surprised when almost strange things happen to you. And then it says, lean on God's strength and ask him for help.
Yep.
And as I was reading this, I was like, that is how I feel. In the sense of, sometimes we can feel like we do. We love, we serve, we sacrifice, we do all these things. And then do you ever have that moment where something terrible happens in your life and you literally go, Lord, why? I've done all these things. I've been living in sacrifice. And you almost have that internal dialogue with God where you're like, Lord, why me? Why have you let this happen? Or you go, another thing? Why another thing? It's like, it's adding to it's like the cherry on top of life in that season. Yeah. And I think hearing that line of, so don't be surprised when strange things happen. Don't be surprised when life feels crazy. It's like we are called to live in reliance on God. And it's actually not this, perfect life of sacrificing things where we can do it all in our own strength. It's actually about going, God, I need you to help me do this. I need you to give me empathy. I need you to give me the ability to love on people because I don't want to right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were like literally just talking about how when Tobes was unwell, your community gathered around and dropped off meals, and how much of a blessing was that to you?
But such a blessing. It is the biggest blessing.
How much of a sacrifice
completely
was it for the people who did that?
And I think that when you experience it, like Tobes and I haven't had a lot of things yet where people have been able to, come and do these things, which, that's a blessing to not need to be served in that way. But I truly felt so loved, so just cared for in that time because I was like, man, these people, they have full-time jobs. They have young kids. They're living busy lives. Life's expensive. Paying for 2 meals for someone actually isn't convenient.
Yeah.
And I just felt so loved and cared for and rallied around. You're so right. That's such a great example of this, is just knowing that even when, yes, it might be a sacrifice, being on the other end of that, you go, man, thank you for that sacrifice. Like the gratitude that is there is so endless. Yeah.
I mean, I've done it myself. I've been, the person that's in the text chain or the group chat that says, oh, so-and-so's just had surgery. Can we make a roster? Can everybody make a meal? Now, I can guarantee you that 99.9% of the time on those, I have been the only single parent.
Yeah.
On those group chats.
So true.
And the only one, and I have had moments too when my attitude is not great in that moment. I'm like, got to do this again. Yeah. Why do they expect this of me? It's going to be another, like I work full time. I'm raising, I've got my kids, mostly when the kids were younger. It's going to be another roast chicken meal.
Yeah.
Because that's all I can do.
Yeah.
But that, and a lot of the time I've corrected my own attitude, so calm down.
Yeah.
But I just know, because I've been on the receiving end of that meal, no matter what it is.
Totally.
No matter how it's presented, it's a blessing.
Yeah.
Like, I have a friend who, when she is part of that, she buys a basket. She actually buys the cookware that she cooks it in. She buys some dishcloth.
Oh,
but the bigger one that you hang over the oven.
Like a tea towel?
Gosh, yeah, like a tea towel.
She buys them a tea towel.
and she does this huge presentation and she cooks the home cooked meal and it takes her 6 hours and she presents it and da-da-da. And I always felt like I wasn't living up to that standard.
Right.
But then think about it in context of, the woman at the temple who gave her last mite. Yeah. Was that sacrifice meaningful to God? Yeah. It sure was. Was my roast chicken from Coles,
but here's the thing.
The sacrifice that,
I think that's exactly right. Sometimes we have this picture of what it needs to look like, and then we don't do it because we feel like it's not enough.
Yep.
And I think what you've just shown then is it doesn't matter what it looks like. Yep. It's about being there and showing up. If it's a chook, perfect.
Yep.
And to be honest, no one, and this is probably a good reminder for everyone listening, no one minds if it is a frozen meal, if it is something you bought from a store.
Yep.
If it is there and you are helping out, it is the greatest blessing to the people receiving it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think it's just so special when anyone considers you and then does something. It actually doesn't matter what that looks like.
Yeah.
It's what's your capacity. It's what can you sacrifice in that season, and that's what it's about. And so
spot on.
I think out of today's episode, that's the question to ask yourself, whether it's someone in your family, in your church group, maybe you're sitting in one of those chains and those threads about making a meal and you've put it off because you thought you didn't have time. Get a hot chook. Do a Jacquie, get a hot chook. And that is meant in the nicest possible way, because it's about your heart. It's about following through, and it's about going, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not going to neglect to do good and share what we have. And it's a sacrifice that's actually pleasing to God.
Yeah. Totally.
So let's make sure out of today, whether you're in a group chat, whether you're not in a group chat, or maybe you've seen someone who's struggling and you think maybe I can do something.
Yep.
Let's just action it. Figure out a way that we can take a step and not make it an idea, but make it a reality. I cannot wait to dive even deeper into the Word of God with you tomorrow for the final episode of the week with the wonderful Jacquie. Until then, I pray you're able to find moments of joy.